Are we still waiting, Donna?
Yes, we are.
Yes. Okay. You're good to go now.
Okay, I want to welcome you to the June 17th meeting of the Grimsby Green Advisory Committee. My name is Carl Gonson. I'm the chairman of the committee. I want to apologize for our late start. The gremlins have been busy at work, and I want to apologize for any disorganization we might have. This is the first meeting that we've had in a while because of COVID. We've got 2 new members, and we've got a new chairman who is convening this meeting for the first time. So expect a little bit of disorganization. This meeting is being live streamed, and it is being recorded. So govern yourself accordingly. The first item on our agenda is a disclosure of pecuniary interest. Is there anyone that has any pecuniary interest in the matters on the agenda that they want to declare? Anybody? Okay, then we'll move on to the next item, which is the approval of the agenda. You have the agenda before you. I just want to maybe explain a little bit about the agenda. I apologize that some of the items that members have previously indicated they want to talk about, they didn't find their way onto today's agenda. And it's my understanding from Sarah that the agenda is made up the Friday before. If you want an item on the agenda, you need to let Sarah or our committee secretary know ahead of time. So there are matters that I think Bruce McKenzie, Dave Sharp, and others have asked to be on the agenda. I apologize that they're not on the agenda. I'd like to ask if there are any members of the committee that have concerns with the items that are on the agenda. No one? I'd like a mover for a resolution approving the agenda as sent out on Friday. Can I have a mover, please? Haley? Can I have a seconder? We have a seconder, Chantel. So the resolution then is, somebody gave that to me. There it is. Resolved that the June 17, 2021 Grimsby Green Advisory Committee meeting agenda be approved. All in favor, please raise your hand. That's carried. And then I get to sign. Or I can sign at the end, which I will do. Next item then is the introduction of the members of the committee. Committee's been has been in existence, I think, for over a year. And this is maybe, I don't know, our 3rd or 4th meeting. Supposed to meet every month, but because of COVID, we of course didn't. We have 2 new members. So I'm going to start off. I've introduced myself. I'm the chairman. I am a planner and an engineer. I live on Ridge Road. And I'm going to go in the order that you appear on my screen. So Sarah, you're next in order. Maybe you can introduce yourself and members of staff.
Hello, everyone. I think most of you I've met or talked to at some point. Sarah Sweeney, I am the Director of Parks, Recreation, and Culture, and currently also the liaison for the committee. And I did also want to introduce Maria Cooper, who reads as Recreation currently. Just wanted to introduce her to you because she's often the sender of items and discussion points, and it's always nice to put a face to the name. So thank you, Maria, for all you're doing.
You're very welcome. Glad to be here. Glad to support. I'll disappear now.
And I apologize, maybe I should mention one other person. My sincere apologies for that, Donna. We also have Donna Dalvacchia with us as well, who is our deputy clerk, and she helps clerk the meetings, keep us in order, get all the pieces that we need to have to make sure we conduct the meeting well. So you'll see Donna probably pop in from time to time on the screen as well. Sorry, Donna.
That's okay. Hi, everybody. Happy to be here.
Dave Sharp.
Yeah, thanks, Carl. My name's Dave Sharp. I'm an engineering technologist and a construction estimator. I'm also a counselor in Grimsby. This is my first term. And I've been a member of the Green Committee since we started about a year ago. And we've only met a limited number of times, but we're starting to meet more frequently now. Thank you.
Henry Cullen.
Thank you, Carl. Good evening, everyone. My name is Henry Cullen. I've been in Grimsby for about 25 years. I'm happy to be on the committee. Thank you very much for having me. I currently work at Mohawk College. I'm Chief Building Facilities Officer. We do a lot with sustainability and green energy. So just really looking forward to contributing any way I can. So thank you.
Haley.
Hi, I'm Hayley Pankhurst. I've lived in Grimsby for about 8 years, and I work for Halton Region in water resources, specifically looking after source protection and groundwater contamination.
Christine.
I'm Christine with Mrs. Greenway in downtown Grimsby. I've lived here 9 years and I've been on the committee since we started.
Ryan.
Thanks, Carl. I've been in Grimsby 18 years. I worked for the city of Hamilton and roadway maintenance and drainage, and been with the Green Committee since it started. So that's been great.
Bruce McKenzie.
Good evening, everybody. If I come and go through this evening's meeting, it's because my bandwidth is low. And I've been with the committee since formed in 2019. It's a privilege to work with you. I'm also on the active committee as well. And I'm the coordinator for the Grimsby wetlands. So that's where I spend a lot of my time at the former bigger sewage lagoons at the west end of town on the lake shore. Thank you.
Erin.
Hello, I'm Erin. Sorry, I apologize. I don't have a video going because I didn't quite make it home from work today. So I'm pulled over in a Timmy's parking lot at the moment. I'm a facilities manager in the school board in Peel, and I've lived in Grimsby for 12 years, and I'm in the Grimsby Beach area.
And I think that covers everybody. Have I missed anybody other than Councillor Bothwell, who sent her regrets tonight?
Me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. My name's Chantel. I've been in Grimsby about 6 years now. I work for the City of Hamilton's Forestry Department, and I coordinate the EAD program. and I've been on the committee since it started in 2019.
Okay, that's our membership. Welcome to the committee. It's been trying times so far. I hope that we can move forward and do something in the near future. So with that, I'd like to talk about the next item, which is the current initiatives. I'm going to have to ask Sarah to help me on the Goose Chase shout outs because I really don't know much about that. So Sarah, can you help me on that one?
Sure can, Carl. So we did do a Earth Week Goose Chase event, which some of you will recall. For anybody who's new, it's a social media platform. It's a bit of a competition we do. I just wanted to touch base because we did say that we were going to do a few sort of shout out prizes. We have been a little bit bombarded and haven't completed it. And we also thought maybe now is a better time to do it because we're no longer in a stay-at-home order. So to go and give somebody a certificate or something like that is a little bit easier to do now. So Haley, Chantal, and Councillor Sharp, the three of you had indicated you were willing to support this. So if you still are able to do that, I'm going to have Krista, one of our employees, get in touch with you. We're going to pick 3 individuals, create a little certificate for them, and just create a little photo op around how they sort of participated in the event and supported green. I'm seeing nods generally, so I'm assuming that's agreeable to all of you. Are you good too, Councillor Sharp, with that? Okay. Only thing I just maybe wanted to ask the group is we do want to do a little prize with it. I'm thinking it could be probably at least one of them will be with kids and maybe one of them might not have kids. Any thoughts in sort of a small little, you know, $20 to $25 prize that we could look at getting that sort of fits Grimsby Green? Just thought I'd throw it out to the group for thoughts. I want to give them junk. We could also just give them a little certificate to a restaurant, I suppose, but I just thought I would see if anybody had any inspired ideas that sort of fit what we're doing and maybe would be relevant. I know I kind of put you on the spot. I think Bruce McKenzie, maybe you got an idea?
Yes, there are a few garden centers that sell native pollinators, so a gift card to them, and if the gift card went to them, it's pretty generic, but if you had a letter or a note to go with it, you could say this is for the use of purchasing such and such. I think that, or, you know, we'd go towards the purchase of pollinating plants or a native tree, something like that. Give them the incentive to put a root in the ground. Thank you.
I like that idea. Anybody else? Or nods or no's or anything like that? All right. If generally I think that's a good idea, so maybe we'll proceed with that. So we'll connect specifically with the 3 of you and try to get that done. We'll do a little post around social media, just give a little bit of attention to the Grimsby Green group as well. We'd sort of said in the past something along the lines of a green thumbs up or Grimsby Green thumbs up. So we'll come up with something sort of along those lines that we can maybe use for a few things if that's good with everybody. Okay.
So I have a question, Sarah. Do we have a budget for these gifts?
There is a small budget that we have for some of these projects, so we will be using that out of that. We also have a little bit of budget that we can use because we can't do so many special events as a department. We're sort of using Goose Chase as a little bit of our special event as well. So we're going to sort of use that departmentally.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, before discussing the other 2 initiatives, particularly for the new members, I don't know if you guys got any information on what we've done in the past, but we did prioritize some initiatives, and I'm sorry, I'm old school here. This Grimsby Green Priorities, and tree planting, protection, and naturalization of green space was priority, one of the top 3. Community engagement and litter removal, waste reduction were the other 2. Sarah, I wonder if the new members in particular got that together with the terms of reference in the council priorities and things like that that we got. Did the new members get all that information?
That's a good question, and I'm not sure. And you might have with a slew of other documents. So what I will offer is there's a few things I'm going to send all of you this evening. So I will send it back out so that you all have it. And my apologies if you haven't had it as of yet. So I will make sure that gets out.
So the next item on the agenda was tree planting. And it is one of the top 3 priorities that we identified. It must be a year ago now. It's a pretty big topic. It can be explosive. It says tree planting, but I'd rather have it also say tree preservation. Like the priority that we set was tree planting, protection, and naturalization. And I'm wondering what might be the best way of tackling this topic. In reviewing the applications of all the members, I think saving trees, planting trees was pretty common thread amongst the desires of the members of the committee. Can I have some, maybe some discussion about what we should do? We can't tackle it here. Do we want to set up some working groups that could work between meetings, do some research to start off with before we wander down a path and get into trouble? Any discussion? Sarah, do you want to wade in?
Yeah, if you don't mind, Carl, maybe I will. So on the agenda, we do have tree planting as a current initiative, and we also have as number 6, preservation of mature trees. So we can combine them if you want to. But I believe it was at our last meeting, we did discuss working with a group to develop a bit of a tree planting initiative and looking at maybe a specific project that we could attach ourselves to. You know, as the chair indicated, this could sort of be big. There could be multiple sort of components to this for sure, but where could we start? And I think the group had said, you know, developing some sort of tree planting initiative that the group could be involved with was one good option. It doesn't have to be the only one. And we did have Councillor Sharp, Chantal, Bruce, and Carl indicate that they were willing to meet and maybe sort of explore a few options. So, you know, I guess, you know, do we still want to proceed that way, or do we want to go in a different direction? You know, I guess that leave that up to the group and also to the chair, but I did just want to raise that from our last meeting. That was one of our discussion items. So Chair, I don't know if you have any thoughts on that. If it's something that the group would still like to do, we could discuss it further here, or they could sort of take it away and maybe think of some ideas and bring them back to the meeting. And you're on mute, Chair.
Hard to get used to that one. I'm at a disadvantage because I can only see 5 or 6 people at a time. So if you want to speak, it was suggested you raise your hand, but I'm not going to see you, so I don't know. I was told that this meeting should be informal, so if you want to speak, just unmute yourself and talk over me, or say what you wanted. Let's dispense with the formalities. Yeah, I know, but I don't see them all at the same time, right? I got to keep on scanning everybody. And I don't want to be the one that talks all night. I want to get some input from everybody else. So I'll kick it off. Yeah, I think a group like you described is a good thing. I'm prepared to be involved. I'd like to hear from the other suggested members of the group.
Bruce McKenzie here. I missed some of the dialogue. I apologize, but I think, Sarah, you mentioned my name.
So it happens if you go off the screen.
Yeah, I know. Go off the screen and get voluntold, right?
That's right.
Anyways, I'm happy to work with a subgroup if there is such a thing.
Chair, I have one suggestion maybe that the group could entertain. So we did, I was going to give this as an update later in our department update, but we were able to plant 12 shagbark hickory trees in the community, one of them in Grimsby Beach, right near the large shagbark that had fallen. And I think there was a lot of interest and attention around that. And I wonder if there's a way to go after some of the more unique native species trees and do a bit of a tree planting initiative around there. Maybe there's some sort of cost sharing piece we could get into. Some of them could go maybe in public spaces, maybe some of them go in private spaces. I think some citizens would even be interested in purchasing a few of them. Maybe looking towards doing the fall, knowing that that's an ideal planting time, but just maybe one suggestion of doing something. It doesn't have to be a massive undertaking, at least initially, but still have lots of impact and good story around it in terms of native species. So just throw that out, I guess, as an idea, maybe for the group to consider if that's of interest.
I think that's a good idea. Anybody else that was mentioned as being on that group have anything to say, to offer?
Bruce again, bring up 2 points. And this is to what Sarah said. I think your concept, Sarah, is most welcome. And I also like to introduce to members of the committee who may not be aware of it right now, is that the town is undergoing a land use study for Grimsby Beach. Trees have been strongly mentioned in the work that's been done so far with the public surveys and and comments from the residents. And a gentleman at Grimsby Beach by the name of Bob Friesen, he's done a excellent tree inventory for Grimsby Beach. And he has asked me to ask the committee tonight, and I will forward it in writing for the chair and Sarah to entertain for an agenda item in a future meeting. Bob would like to come and give a presentation to the Green Committee about what a tree inventory, what he's accomplished with the tree inventory at Grimsby Beach, and how such a vehicle can be used in terms of encouraging the urban canopy, the growth of it, and the preservation of it. So I just mentioned that to you, and we're hoping, Bob and I and a number of others are on the stakeholders committee for the Grimsby Beach land use study. We're hoping that that from that study, a tree strategy will be proposed or illustrated by the consultant in the report that may then be used as a template by the town of Grimsby for care and foster of urban trees. But anyways, then that's happening parallel to this committee, and I wanted just to take a second and tell you about it, and I'm hoping that it might be welcomed as an agenda item. So the left hand knows what the right hand is doing. Thank you.
So is Donna the one that keeps track of these kinds of requests that we want to invite this gentleman to the next meeting? Do I need a resolution of the committee to invite him to the next meeting, or how does that go, Sarah?
I wouldn't say so. I think if the group is generally interested, and sometimes even on Zoom, some nods or some thumbs up is an easier way to get there. Maria is sort of perfect. Yes, if you're familiar with Zoom and you want to use the hand up piece, you can use that as well. Just keep in mind too with Chantal, I think Carl doesn't necessarily see everybody on the screen, so it might be a bit tricky. but I do, so I can help with that. But Maria is the maintainer of our agenda, so we could have her put that on if that's generally something the group desires.
Okay, I can now see everybody at the same time. Donna's fixed my screen for me. So that's no longer a problem. So if everybody wants to invite this gentleman to our next meeting, please, just thumbs up. Okay, we're going to do it. There were, Sarah, who were the members of the group that were going to look at tree planting?
The tree planting initiative we had down was yourself, Carl, Councillor Sharp, Chantal, and Bruce.
So Councillor Sharp, are you okay with?
Oh, you're on mute again, Chair.
Sorry, I can't hear you.
Yeah, I know. Councillor Sharp and Chantal, are you okay with being on that group? And is there anybody else that wants to get involved in that group?
This is the tree planting?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that. I shared some pictures earlier because I'm pulling up saplings that are growing in my yard, and I'm planting them in pots, and I'm going to grow them. And I have ideas or plans about like planting them somewhere already. I have 3. I have 1 shagbark hickory and 2 maple. I don't know what kind of maple. I'm hoping they're sugar maple, but I don't know. Bruce can maybe help me figure that out.
Oh, Maria, I think, has shared the screen.
Yeah, these are some of the pictures. Sorry, they're not great images. But at my home, I'm doing some gardening and some yard work, and I pull these saplings out and I throw them in the compost. But I've been planting them and watering them, and I don't know how, but I'm sure, just like a nursery does, I could plant them. I'm sure I could find some property somewhere where I could plant them in somewhat of a root ball that could be transplanted again later. It would be really fun if I could find somewhere. I know there's some residents around town who have property that would let me plant 10, 15 little saplings, let them grow for 5 years or 3 years, and then they have some value, right? And just a little bit of sweat labor and a pickup truck and dig them up and plant them in someone's backyard or an area. I think that would be something fun to do. But I'm open to other ideas too. Like that's not all that I would do, but I'm happy to be on a committee that's thinking about things like that.
We can talk about that when we get together as a group. So Chantal?
Yep, so I'm fine with being on that subgroup. I think that's what we're calling it. I know my boyfriend's uncle lives in Grimsby, and he has some property. It lives at like almost the corner of Casablanca, number 8. And he recently got 12 or 13 Carolinian species from a local garden group, and he's planted them on his property. So I can reach out to him and ask like maybe some information from that garden group. They were doing a tree planting like program or like a giveaway of some type. And I know he didn't get them all for free. He had to pay, but I can get some more information from him and maybe we can reach out to them.
Yeah.
I can touch on
cool.
and help a bit with that. I'm pretty sure that's the Grimsby Garden Club program that we helped a little bit with distribution. And I know who the vendor was who's done that. So I can even help share that contact, because you're right, it could be a very great resource.
Yeah, and the trees I took a look at them and they were like great condition, and they were native species. So it was awesome.
Great.
Henry?
Just quickly, I'm not sure how deep we're into this process, but just maybe a suggestion off the top of my head. When I worked at the city of St. Catharines, we had an issue with park benches. So they started a memorial bench program where people would buy or contribute, and that would pay essentially for the bench to be installed, and they could pick a park. Maybe we could do something with a memorial tree and then use it as a way to offset some costs, or maybe even generate some revenue. I'm sure a lot of people would like to, especially with what's going on in the environment, would like to memorialize somebody, or just maybe just participate and contribute to a tree being planted in a park, or maybe even on their own property.
I can.
Good idea.
That's okay, Chair. We do have that. We just don't promote it super well. So maybe what we can do is actually look at promoting that a bit better, and maybe even look at modifying, I think, the list into the native species too. So that's something I can take away as well to look at updating. I think it's a great idea. We've tended to focus on the bench in the past, but we're finding some of the benches we just can't have anymore in certain parks. We have a lot of benches. So starting to push the tree side of it, I think would be really great. One thing I would be interested in, if anybody has thoughts, is, sorry to sort of take this away, Chair, I hope that's okay, but we've been really trying to figure out what to do from a tagging perspective, because people often do want to put a tag, or sometimes they want to put a stone at the bottom of the tree, again, acknowledging it. And we don't want to turn it into what starts to look like a bit of a cemetery, I guess. I don't know how else better to describe it. So we have been trying to explore what can we do to acknowledge that donation, but in a way that still really kind of fits that environment. So if anybody here has suggestions or wants to take away and explore some ideas, would really welcome your thoughts and ideas around that one.
Hey, Sarah, if I can just have a minute through the chair. So I like the idea of memorial trees, and I'd be interested in planting like a living memorial, and I'd really like to. I'd like to know how much it would cost, and if we have a choice, I would like to plant sugar maple, and I'd like to call it the Sharp sugar maple. But
well,
it'd be cool.
Did you not source some? I guess that was fruit trees that you got last year.
Yeah, I get fruit trees, and they were inexpensive. I'm looking online. It looks like you can buy like a 7 to 8 foot sugar maple for like $94. But again, that's probably freight on board. You got to go and pick it up from the nursery, and then you got to plant it yourself. So, but for some people might be looking for more of a turnkey. But if it's $500 and you donate for a tree, but then how do you put a plaque on the tree? I don't know. And do we want plaques? And if you put a stone, will somebody pick it up and throw it in the creek? Because I know some of the teenagers around town might do that kind of stuff. So then do you have to put a foundation into it or something like? But they're interesting ideas. And then would it be tax deductible?
If it's a donation, it can be.
Yeah.
So if there's interest, I'd be happy to bring some more information about that to the next meeting. I can share what our current policy is. We are looking to update it anyway. And we can maybe have a bit more discussion about that, and if there's some feedback from the committee on it. And again, the tagging piece would be interesting. We have a tag we've used in the past. The problem is when they get to a certain size, and just over time, they don't last. Sometimes that's okay with people, sometimes it's not. So it might be a great little discussion item for this group, and then we can update our website and try to maybe promote that a little further as well.
Sorry,
Chantel?
So I know with the City of Hamilton, what we do for not necessarily memorial, but we have an arboretum off of Highway 5, and people have contributed and donated. They're about this, sorry, I'm trying to make you guys all see it. They're like this, and it's it's like a little mini plaque, and it goes on a peg and it sticks in the ground. And that way, as the tree grows, you can just move it. Like, I don't know, people can, yes, rip them up. We haven't had any issues. I can find out how much they were. I'm not really sure. The thing is, they are hard. They appear to be a hard plastic. So I know that's really not the greatest, but I can inquire and see what other options there are.
That would be great. If you're willing to do that, that would be fantastic. Thank you.
There's a guy in town, Zebra Signs. They do some engraving on aluminum. And they'll do little signs and plaques that are engraved like that. I'm sure it's inexpensive. I've bought other things from them that were very reasonably priced.
Well, we're getting a lot of good ideas. There's 4 members of the group that's going to look at tree planting. If someone else wants to join that group, please speak up.
Yeah, I'd like to
Can
join
we-
if there's still space. If you need more people, I'll help.
Yeah, I think that we should allow more people, once the group starts meeting, I think we should invite more people to join as long as we're allowed to. I think that it'd be great to welcome friends and neighbors of people on the committee to join.
I believe as long as you don't get into quorum, you can have 5.
I'm
What's
definitely
quorum?
interested.
6
What's
is
quorum?
6.
6?
Mhm.
I'm definitely interested in the tree planting too as well. I'd like to be a part of that and help you guys out with that.
You got a
Okay,
pickup truck?
pardon me?
You got a pickup truck?
Yes. I'm going to suggest that depending on when the next meeting is, I guess that's the last item on the agenda. I'm going to suggest that we start meeting offline with the group in a week or 2 weeks, and that in that week or 2 weeks that you do the research. Someone was going to investigate what the city of Hamilton does. There's other information that Sarah wants to look into. We should do as much research as we can, get prices for different ideas, and then convene maybe in a week or 2 and have our first meeting. We can do that offline if that's okay with you. The timing of it should be such that maybe we can report back to the entire committee for the meeting in, I guess our next meeting would be in July, if we have a meeting in July. If that's okay with you, I'd like to maybe move on to the next item, which is the Green Acknowledgement Award. Is that okay with you guys? I got 1 thumbs up. Okay, that's good. So the next item is the Green Awards, and I guess these would be awards for people that maybe have the best energy saving, the most carbon reducing project, the most tree preservation project. I don't know, there's a number of categories that you could have. And it would be an easy, quick way to do something that where we would get some recognition. I was thinking of something in the fall. We might even have, if COVID is truly over, we could have a little get together where we might have some wine or something like that and have some formal awards, buy a plaque for $2. You know, it could be a very cheap, easily affordable, reward people for what they've done. Anyways, I've said enough. Sarah, can you, I think we had some people say that they wanted to get involved in this initiative. Can you maybe outline who they are?
Yes, we did. We had you, Cheryl, Carl, Haley, Councillor Sharp, and Councillor Bothwell at the time had raised their hands. But others, again, are welcome, especially maybe 1 or 2 of our new members. And yeah, it was to develop a bit of a recognition program. So maybe just define some parameters around what it could be. We can certainly help with creative in terms of like a certificate and using the social media platform that we have and things like that. But if you guys can develop a little bit of strategy around that and criteria, that would be wonderful. I see Erin's hand up, so maybe she's interested as well.
Yeah, I was just going to say I'd be happy to help with that.
So Chair, I wonder, would it be helpful if there's a group that's willing to do that? If somebody could be the organizer of a meeting, we can sort of just share that list with you and you guys can take that and kind of run with it a little bit. Does that work?
Yes, we should appoint one for the tree planting initiative as well, and one for the Green Awards person that can start the ball rolling by calling a meeting.
Any volunteers for either of those?
I can volunteer for tree planting.
Okay.
Unless Dave wants to do it.
I'd like to, I'm just drafting an email right now to send out. And I'd love to help organize a meeting offline just for unofficial talk about what we're willing to do. We can brainstorm and throw ideas around about what kind of plaques, or we could meet in one of our parks outdoors and walk around and look at some of the trees and talk about it. I don't have the emails of the newer members to the committee, but I'll
Circulate
send
that.
an email out.
Yeah.
And then
Nobody-
Sarah can copy me.
As long as nobody objects, I'll send out the email later on this evening with all of you that will have your email addresses shared. Maybe I'll send it out tomorrow morning so that you have until tomorrow morning. If for any reason you're not comfortable with that, which you are, of course, free to share. But if everybody's okay with that, we'll just share the emails among everybody so that we can reach out to everybody easily, if that's good.
Yeah, and I'll send this email tonight, Sarah, and if you can just copy the new members or forward to the new members so that they'll have it too.
Okay.
So as I understand it, Councillor Sharp is going to start the ball rolling on the Green Award Initiative, and I'll start something on the tree planting initiative. Is that okay with the members? Anybody else?
I'd like to do the tree planting.
You want to, okay, you do the tree planting then. I'll do the Green Awards unless somebody else wants to do it.
Great.
Everybody agree?
Yeah.
Okay. Next item then is preservation of mature trees. And I think this is a potential, well, I know it is, it's not potential, it's going to be a controversial topic if it gets anywhere near a bylaw. But I think we need to explore things. We would start off with some research on what we currently do, what the region does, what the NPCA does, how they relate to each other, and go from there. Sarah, do you have anything to offer on this topic?
Sure. I can say it is something that we have been looking at as a staff team in terms of what our strategy is for preserving trees on two different levels. One of them is trees that are on our own property. So we have been looking at some policies and criteria. We don't have one right now, a good one at least, and starting to work on that one. And there also has been discussion about a preservation plan or perhaps some rules around certain trees on other lands as well. That has been discussed with staff. I believe it's also come up at Heritage Committee. Had actually hoped maybe Councillor Bothwell could speak to it, but I know she's not with us this evening. But I can get some more information on that. And I know that is being explored. One of the factors with that, of course, is also just making sure we have the right resources to actually support any policies that we do put in place. So I can reach out to our planning department, has been doing some work on this, and try to get some more information for the next meeting. But I do know we've had at least one initial discussion about if we were to explore different approaches, how could we do that from a resource perspective as well.
Henry?
Can I just ask what some detail on the preservation of mature trees? Like, what does this aim towards? Is it people recklessly cutting down trees that they shouldn't be, and the town having a bylaw? And is that kind of what this is? Like, what's the context? I guess I'm asking.
I think the concern is that a lot of trees are being cut down, some of which may not need to be cut down. That there should be some control of it. some rationale for why the tree is cut down. And it can be trees of a certain species, trees of a certain size. As Sarah says, there's trees that are on public property and trees that are on private property. The private property trees can be controversial, but in my experience, you can always save trees by locating buildings in areas where you have you can save the trees that are in the side yard, backyard, front yard. It's difficult, but you should at least try. And if you fail, you tried. As a engineer, I'm used to doing that. I don't want to bring my prejudices to the town of Grimsby, but I did read all of the applications to be on the committee, and it was pretty universal that trees, when you think of green, it's trees. Grass is nice, but it's not a tree. It's green, but it's not the same as a tree. So if you really want to affect the environment, climate, just how nice this town is, in my opinion, you should try to save trees. And I don't mean at the expense of development. I mean together with development. Anyways, those are my words. Anybody else want to chime in?
I just have a couple questions. Do we have a current definition of what mature tree entails for Grimsby, and do we have a current inventory of those trees both on public and private property?
Sarah, I can't answer that question.
Sure. I don't know that we have a committed definition. We have a bit of a general definition I think we use from just a maintenance standpoint. In terms of inventory, that is something that is being worked on right now. And I know they have been doing certain areas, so they have been working on putting that into our GIS system and starting to get that. We hadn't had that in the past, so it is in the works. It's not entirely complete for all areas though.
Carl, it's Bruce. Through you to Sarah, one of the things I think that would be helpful to this committee is that the town is involved with certain projects such as tree inventory, and this is the first time I've heard of it. It would be helpful if that information was brought to the committee so that we could learn from it and be optimistic about certain programs. I forget the name of the lady the other day, staff person from the town. I think she came and talked about procurement and how the town is trying to bring in green initiatives. I found that very helpful. I think I assume what you mean by preservation of the trees is a tree bylaw. And I'm glad you mentioned about the planning department. I would be very pleased if the new director of the planning department could come and talk to this committee and tell us what she sees as the direction of the town, because we may find out, oh, certain initiatives are already being talked about. You just mentioned a minute ago, Sarah, about team working on some things. So, the question in my mind is someone at town hall talking about a tree bylaw and researching what other communities are doing, such as the town of Burlington? I recognize that tree bylaws require a lot of initiative, a lot of administration and expense, and there may be difficulties with that. But I think that the citizens are looking for help in terms of promoting and preserving the tree canopy in Grimsby. And that's what maybe, as Carl, you said it very, very well about what's green, trees. And that's why I'm sitting here tonight. So, Sarah, if the town's doing something, I sure would like to know there. And I'm hoping that if I can arrange for Bob Friesen to come next month or at our next meeting, you'll get a good viewpoint of what one citizen or group is trying to do to help build this initiative in town. And thank you. Oh, so before I go, Carl, Sarah, or is there a possibility of inviting the director of planning to come and speak to us?
So Chair, if I may, it's possibility, I could definitely ask her. I can tell you we have had discussions about this very thing, and it is a bit of a cross-functional discussion among all of us. So I will follow up again with that group and see where we're at with an update and make sure we get some information back to you one way or another, whether it's her attending or someone else attending or wherever our status is. And I can also work on seeing if we can share some of the information of what is being done in terms of collecting tree inventory, maybe show you a few of the slides on our GIS, just so you can have an idea of some of the work that is being done. Would that be helpful? You're on mute.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, that would be very welcome from my point of view. Thank you.
Sarah, I just out of curiosity, what GIS space are they using for collecting the tree inventory? Pure curiosity.
I would need to double check with the staff that have been doing that. I can find out for you. I don't know that it's a super sophisticated approach as of yet, but let me find out for you.
Okay.
Sarah, can we make it more formal and invite her or her delegate to the next meeting? Like Bruce said, I think this is the top priority, the most important thing that we have to do. And it's the most challenging thing. And I'm wondering whether it should be just planning or whether it should be planning and public works being the one that looks after all of the trees on streets, on the road allowance, with you looking after the ones in parks and open spaces. Should we send out an invitation to, is it the director of public works or his delegate?
If it's okay with everybody, I will take this back to the staff team and see what the best approach is, who's best to come, and I can work with you on that in terms of next agenda as to who's best to have here.
Okay, is that okay with the group?
Sounds good to me.
I've been told I have to do some housekeeping. We have to pass some motions. So I need a motion. I need a mover and a seconder for a motion that says resolve that the information with respect to preservation of mature trees be received by the advisory committee. I need a mover. Chantel. And a seconder. Ryan. All in favor?
All right.
Carries. And then I got to go back. And I'm going to do the goose chase, shout out, tree planting and green acknowledgement awards as one. Resolved that the update provided by town staff with respect to the current initiatives I just described them be received by the advisory committee. I need a mover. Haley. And I need a seconder. Henry. All those in favor? Okay, that carries. Want me to move? Okay, we need another motion. Resolve that we establish a working group to address tree planting and the Green Acknowledgement Awards. Is that okay, Donna? The way I said it? Okay. I need a mover. You guys don't want, oh, Christine, a seconder. Haley, all in favor? Carried. Am I all up to date now, Donna? Okay, we're all up to date. Did we want to talk about the preservation of mature trees anymore, or have we done enough damage with the invitations? We passed that one? Okay. Next item on the agenda is the idling bylaw update. I don't know very much about it, so maybe Sarah can update us on that.
I just wanted to touch upon it quickly because I think I mentioned it before at a meeting. That is something that is in the works. It has had some work done to it, but I know there's also some work looking at planning and our traffic team in terms of how exactly they're going to integrate it. So I can say it is something that is sort of on the list, but I know their list is a bit long with bylaws as well. And then when the time comes that we're able to get one through, what we will be doing is looking to this group to maybe help with some ideas around education and awareness strategies, because from what I've seen with them is they exist, but it's really about promotion of why you want to not idle and really kind of creating some awareness about, you know, what the impacts of idling are. So when that time comes, we will be looking back to this group to do a little bit more work on that. I just wanted to give an update on it briefly.
Any questions? Henry?
Sorry. Thank you, Carl. Just through you to Sarah. Does the town have an anti-idling bylaw? And the reason I ask is when I worked for the town of Oakville, they had one for town staff that it was just it wasn't a bylaw, it was an informal policy, much along the lines of how to use city or town assets, that they don't go through the drive-through, that they park their vehicle and go in for a coffee. So just curious if we have something like that.
No, interesting. No, not that I'm aware of. For this particular item, I was talking more about like a bylaw that would impact the public, but that is interesting to hear. Might be interesting to learn a little more about that.
Yeah, it's just more of a kind of lead by example type of thing. I know we don't have in Grimsby a lot of city-owned vehicles, but it certainly kind of sets the tone. Just a suggestion.
Okay, cool.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, I have a resolution. Resolved that the information with respect to the idling bylaw update be received by the advisory committee. I need a mover. Chantel, a seconder. Christine, all in favor? That carries.
Chair Carl, I'd like to have some discussion about it before the vote, if I may, Bruce.
Sure.
I didn't really get any information. Maybe I missed something on the audio about a bylaw update. So what exactly did we don't have a bylaw for idling, from what I understand, and we don't have a staff policy on idling, from what I understand. So what are we asking for a policy to be developed?
Sorry, just for clarification, I think in the past I had indicated it was coming forward to a few individuals, but I just wanted to give the update that it is going through some other staff departments' hands first. So I just didn't want people to be expecting it to come here immediately. It's not. So unfortunately, the update is I don't have a lot of information, but nevertheless, I wanted the group to at least know where it's going, and it is being looked at more with planning and public works at this time.
Okay, so staff teams are working on something. And Sarah, would this be just idling, or would this be for a greater umbrella to do with improving air quality by the use of vehicles and the type of vehicles in Grimsby?
The scope that had been sent through a note, it was a notice of motion that came through council that was referred to this committee, and it was specifically to look at an idling bylaw. So that was the specific direction given for it. So I would say that's where it's focusing right now.
When you say that was forwarded to this committee, do you mean the Green Committee?
They had suggested it come to the Green Committee for further input. But in talking to staff, there are a number of planning pieces and bylaw pieces and traffic pieces that need further review. So it has gone to them for some further discussion and debate. And then once they are ready, they will bring it back.
Okay, thank you for that clarification.
Was there any other discussion on the bylaw? Okay, we had a mover and a seconder, and I was just calling the vote when Bruce asked this question. So I'll call for the vote now. All those in favor of the update? Carried. The next item on the agenda is the Niagara Region's official plan. And I guess it goes without saying that there's a companion official plan amendment to the town of Grimsby official plan as well. They more or less go hand in hand. I don't know which one goes first in this neck of the woods and which one goes second. But I had suggested to Sarah that perhaps it was something that we might want to comment on. I don't know if it's too late because I was on the internet today and I noticed they started back in 2019 and they've been going at it for a couple of years at least. And they've already had one round of public engagement. I don't know if we're too late to comment. The reason I was alerted to it was I attended a Grimsby Heritage Committee meeting at which a lady talked about the official plan. So that got my interest. Sarah, can you add anything to help us with the possibility of us commenting on the Niagara Region official plan and the town of Grimsby official plan?
Sure. Most specifically, I know about gathered some information about the Niagara official plan, and they do have it up on their website. So I will share those links with all of you. I believe there is still opportunities to provide feedback through their online portal. But what also might be of real interest to this committee, and I'll send the link for this as well, and I've actually registered for it, is they're having a webinar session on Wednesday, June the 23rd, about a sustainable region. And so they've sort of categorized 5 different areas for the official plan. It's growing the region, vibrant region, competitive region, connected region, and then sustainable region. And the other 4 meetings, have now been completed. One of them is actually this evening, but the last one is the sustainable region, which is probably the greatest interest to this group So I'll share that date and that link, and you can register for it and then listen in. It probably would be a very helpful and informative piece for everybody to participate in. So Chair, after the meeting, we can send around an email and just make sure we give you those links. And then if you're interested in it, I encourage all of you to participate and check it out.
Any comments? Any interest? Very little interest. Okay. Okay. I've been told I need to pass a motion resolve that the information with respect to Niagara Region's official plan be received by the advisory committee. So principally, I guess it's going to be the information that Sarah sends us the links to, and then if there's something that interests us, we can add it to the next agenda. If we have any comments after reading what is on these links, we can comment or bring it up at our next meeting, whenever that is. So I need a motion. I need a mover with respect to the Niagara Region's official plan. Do I have a mover? Brian, a seconder? Haley? All in favor? Carried. Next item then is the department updates. And I would ask Sarah to talk about this.
I just wanted to share a couple of things with you. I did mention the shagbark hickory tree planting, so that was fun. I'm not sure if anybody saw on social media, we had this giant honeybee gathering on one of our trees, and we were actually able to reach out, one of our staff was able to reach out to a honeybee farm, I guess would be the word. I think they were out of Dundas, and they actually saved all the honeybees and took them to their farm. So it was quite the little, the gathering of honeybees on this tree. It was kind of interesting. Another thing that we're working on that will be of interest and hopefully will be successful with is a project called 2 Billion Trees. It's a federal initiative where they want to plant 2 billion trees in Canada over the course of 10 years. And so the Niagara Region municipalities have partnered with the NPCA to put forward a proposal to participate in that project. And our proposal was to be approximately planting 2 million trees throughout Niagara Region over the course of the 10 years. And it would be sort of facilitated and led by NPCA. So we'll see where that goes to. Right now, it's just an expression of interest, but I did want to share that with the group as it might be an exciting opportunity for us to contribute to maybe some of the locations and even some tree planting projects if we're successful. So we'll see where it goes, but I just thought I would share that as it is a bit of an exciting project potentially that we're very hopeful we'll be successful with. And NPCA, I think, will be just a tremendous resource with that as well. Also wanted to mention that we have been successful with a trails master plan. So we will be moving forward with a recreational trails master plan. We'll be working with the Active Grimsby group and others as well, but certainly it can have a green component as to how we're developing our trails and how they exist. So that will be an exciting opportunity for this group to contribute some ideas to as well. On Monday, it officially passes through council, and then we can get to work on that. The first part is really data collection and gathering some information about trails that existing that we have and some of that content. And then sort of late summer or early fall, we start to do some community consultation and stakeholder involvement. And certainly we'll be bringing that to this group to share some ideas. So just know that that's coming. So if you have some thoughts and ideas that you might want to share with the consultant or staff related to that project, we're certainly going to welcome that feedback from all of you. And the last thing is, as things are starting to reopen a little bit and we're starting to be able to be outdoor in groups again, I know that some have talked a little bit about maybe resurrecting the idea of a cleanup. So perhaps even at the next meeting, as we open up even further, that's something that this group could explore again if they wanted to support one or work with one, or even just promote the very idea. A lot of them, of course, got halted in April when they were looking to do them around the Earth Day time. But as things are starting to open up, it could be an opportunity again. So just wanted to share that with the group.
Councillor Sharp?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I just had a question about the 2 billion trees. I'm doing some quick math. 2 billion trees, 35 million people in Canada. That's 57 trees per person. 30,000 people in Grimsby. That's 1.74 million trees in Grimsby. Do we know how many trees we're going to plant? Or is there grants? Are we going to get grants from the federal government? It's a federal program.
Yeah, so if you recall, there was a report that did go to council on this. So we have suggested that NPCA with Niagara Region feels that they could take 2 million trees over the 10 years. So assuming it would get distributed somewhat equally over the 10 years. And in terms of locations, it can be, I think they're open to pretty much any location. I think they are looking at afforestation and reforestation particularly, but I think they're open to various ideas. It does have to be new initiatives, so it can't just be replacing our existing tree programs. It is new. So I know NPCA does some bigger projects. They, of course, have a lot more land to support some of that a little easier than we do. But they would work throughout the Niagara region and look at various pockets and areas where we could plant trees. And there can be partnerships with private on that, even residential, I think potentially. So I think it's fairly open at this point. Again, we don't really know. They didn't get into the fine details of what the project will look like. It really just is an expression of interest at this time. But yes, it is a lot of trees. And there would be a cost share component. So I think they would fund, and I might not be completely accurate on this one, it was like 50%, I think. Like it was a fairly substantial cost contribution that they would be making to this.
Because if the region is committed, or if the NPCA commits to 2 million trees in 10 years, that's 133,000 trees in Grimsby. And so divided by 10, that's 13,000 trees per year. So we better get started because there's only 365 days in a year. And that's like 36 trees per day. And you can't do it on Sundays. So you're going to have to.
Sorry.
I will.
So what I'm saying is it's great to get started and start thinking about these 36 trees per day, every day for 10 years.
I don't know. I will say I don't know how exactly they will distribute it. They might not distribute evenly across all the municipalities. Maybe they'll look at
They might give us more.
Maybe. I don't know. So there is certainly a lot of question marks and unknowns, but nevertheless, it's an exciting idea, an exciting initiative, and I just thought I'd share it with the group as hopefully some good news.
Yeah, that is great news. Thank you, Sarah.
Chair Carl, it's Bruce. Can I just add a note here to this exciting conversation?
Carl actually just left the room for a moment, so he asked Bruce if you could take over as vice chair at this time.
Well, thanks very much. As I said, I'm excited about this, and Dave, I hope your math is always right. And the NPCA, for it to be successful with whatever tree planting initiatives it gets involved with, will only be successful by involving private landowners through their stewardship programs and partnerships. The NPCA, most of its lands are already forested, so it doesn't allow for a lot of areas to be planted. And I mention this because one of the notes that I most strongly believe in a measure of success of this committee will be whether we get the private landowners, the homeowners in Grimsby involved in green strategies. And you won't find enough parkland in Grimsby to plant these trees. I feel that if we're going to be successful, it'll be programs like what the Garden Club had this spring in conjunction with Sarah's department to get a tree into the homeowners' hands and encourage them by leading by example to plant a tree or 10 or 20 in their backyard or their front yard or side yards. That's what's going to make the difference, and that's how trees will be. I think when you talk about the numbers that you're talking about, you want to see them get in the ground and cared for. It's got to be the landowners, the homeowners who are educated to the point where they feel they can make a difference. Right now, I think most homeowners don't feel that. So I just leave the word partnership on the table, and I hope we can encourage that with the homeowners and landowners, whether they be commercial or residential, in Grimsby, to become part of a tree planting initiative. We want to make tree planting the thing to do. Thanks. And I'll hand that back over the chair back to Carl. Carl, somehow they made me vice chair. I hope I didn't mess you up. Good night.
Not at all. Are we finished talking about, I guess, department updates?
Just one more, if I could respond to Bruce McKenzie. I know you're on the NPCA, and so it'd be nice to get some information about what kind of tree planting is available, because I know I could probably find right now 10 people who would take, and some people with bigger properties who would take 10 trees, and others with smaller properties who would take 1 tree, but I don't know yet what's available and what kind of space and requirements there are. So if I knew that, for example, more than a year ago, the Bible College, right by Apple Tree Variety, that heritage building there, they have quite a bit of, they have a parking lot in the back, and then there's some space. And Councillor Bothwell and I both visited them just to meet the director. And we talked about the Green Committee. We talked about tree planting, and he said he would happily take some trees in the back. They have some, their property goes up the escarpment a bit, but there's an area where it's just grass right now. And so when those people come across, but I don't know yet I can't tell them, hey, great, we have a program, we could plant 10 trees here, or 20, or 1. So that'd be nice to know when it happens. I don't want to rush it, but
no,
that would be.
Yeah, Councillor Sharp, I'd be happy to get that information from staff and for it to be forwarded to you. And those are the kind of partnerships that we're looking for in the town. The college that you're referring to is right within the shadow of our most magnificent forest on the escarpment slope. All they have to do is stop cutting grass and the trees will start to grow. But we want them to plant their own. They'll have a sense of ownership and pride. So we'll get some information to you. Happy to do that.
Yeah, it'd be great. Thank you.
Any other comments? I need a motion. The motion reads, resolved that the verbal update provided by town staff regarding department updates be received by the advisory committee. I need a mover. Dave, Councillor Dave, and a seconder, Bruce McKenzie. All in favor? Carried. Okay, the next item then is new business, and under new business, maybe we've already taken care of it. We need a vice chair, but I think, Sarah, we were going to wait until the next meeting. Can you bring me up to date on the issue of a vice chair? The terms of reference for the committee don't include one, but you indicated you're up there updating the terms of reference, so maybe there will be one.
Yes, Chair. So for next meeting, before the next meeting, you should be, as long as all things go as planned, be receiving just an updated terms of reference. It is fairly similar to the one that you would have read when you signed on. They're just trying to align them all sort of throughout the corporation. So there's just some language changes and some updating so they have better alignment. So nothing of substantial difference, I don't think, to the committee, but you will see that update. One update, though, is that there will be a vice chair role identified. In our current terms of reference, there is not. So we had at our last meeting deferred selecting a vice chair until this meeting, but because we should probably wait till that new terms of reference actually allows us to do that, what we can do is do that at the next meeting. So I just invite all of you just to consider that, if you would be willing to potentially stand for the vice chair role. As long as it's agreeable to everybody, we should be able to complete that process next meeting. So just wanted to give you that information.
Great. Councillor Sharp.
So I move to defer the vice chair selection.
Can I have a seconder? Okay. Oh, you don't need a motion? Okay. Donna says we don't need a motion to defer.
Okay.
Okay, so we're on new business. Sarah, so the purpose of the item is, I assume, to identify new items that we want to talk about at our next meeting. Because we're not allowed to talk about things that aren't on the agenda at this meeting. So you need some forethought and think ahead. So maybe we've got maybe four or five items already stacked up for our next meeting. Are there any other items that somebody wants to warn us that they want to talk about them? Any takers? I know I was remiss. Bruce had an initiative that I think we need on the agenda, and Bruce's initiative was cutting back on cutting grass. And I want to make sure that there's an email that he sent around to everybody. Can we get that on the agenda? Bruce, do you want to talk about that?
Thanks, Chair Carl. I'd be happy if it was on the agenda in the near future. It's sort of this is June now. The grass cutting has already been done, something that I would hopefully see discussed and to give staff plenty of time to come up with a plan for next year where grass cutting can be reduced and the type of machinery that is used, again, going back to greenhouse gas emissions, electric versus gas or diesel. And in some places that is not applicable, and in some places it is. And again, I hope that the committee could somehow take the initiative of reducing grass cutting and the reduction of gasoline powered lawnmowers to the homeowners and the private businesses. They have most of the grass in Grimsby. And because I always think that this committee's job is to set out goals so that staff and individuals can try to follow along. So that's, in a nutshell, that's my thinking about the reduction of grass, working with town staff teams and identifying goals how they're going to get there, and then set a program that the town will endorse, that it can communicate with the homeowners, and even possible businesses that sell lawnmowers. You know, Grimsby promoting electric lawnmowers by the homeowners. I don't have the stats at hand, but if they're, when you look at the pollution coming out of a gasoline powered lawnmower, it's like driving your own car a long, long way to generate the same air pollution as it comes out of a gas powered lawnmower for 1 hour. And it's also a noise pollution factor in neighborhoods. Electric lawnmowers are quiet. So those are the kind of things that I would like to discuss. I'm hoping that Sarah, if you can't find my previous email, I can somewhere, but I would be very pleased if that could be circulated to the committee members. Saves a lot of words if they could study it prior to a committee meeting, so we could focus in on the highlights.
Bruce, I found your email this morning, so you can't find it, Sarah, I'll send it to you.
I just
Henry.
did it. So if you want, we could even put that email on the agenda. I could send it to Maria just so everybody does have that background and we can add it as an agenda item.
I think it would be better if you sent it well ahead of the agenda, because the agenda comes up on the Friday before the meeting. If you could send it out when you get a chance next week.
Okay.
Henry?
Thank you, Carl. Bruce, I think that's a great idea. And again, I think this is an opportunity for the town to potentially lead by example. This is something that's really near and dear to my heart. I just gave a presentation at work. We bought a commercial electric mower, one of the first in Hamilton, and I think the first at any of the 24 colleges in Ontario. And you're right, using that mower for one mowing season is the equivalent of taking 140 cars off the road for a year. And the average gas mower in an hour puts out as much pollution as a car driving 8,000 kilometers. I just did the presentation yesterday, so I can spill out all these facts. And as far as cost, it was about 30% more than maybe a John Deere equivalent, but the payback in gasoline and maintenance is huge. So it's something that we're happy to lead on. I'd love to even personally speak with town staff about the business case, and I could even convince people at work to take it home and then show them. It's an incredible machine. It's well built. Yeah, it's a great idea.
If I recall correctly, Bruce's email is multifaceted. It talks about electrical lawnmowers, and it also talks about reducing mowing. So his email will cover the topic. We would be pleased to hear what you have to say, Henry, at our next meeting. It sounds exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Henry.
Councillor Sharp, your item, I forget what it was. I think it was to do with a cleanup. And I think there was an email associated with it as well. Do you want that on the agenda at the next meeting?
I would like to discuss just generally cleanup. We did a creek cleanup in April, and we'll probably do another one. I'm involved with another group called the Friends of the 40, and I know we discussed it a little bit at this meeting, but we can speak just more generally about cleanups or maybe organizing any fall cleanups that we'll do before the winter. So sure, I would like to have that item on the agenda.
Okay, I guess Donna, you have your work cut out for you, keeping track of all of that. The other thing that somebody, I think it was Bruce, mentioned about keeping the homeowners informed, getting them on side, educating them. I don't know, is somebody in the PR business on our group? Has anybody got any experience at that? I mean, it's great for us to have all these ideas, but we have to bring the homeowners with us on these ideas and make sure they're on our side and know what we're doing. And it's more or less a continuous public relation education program. Is that something that interests somebody? No? Is the town got a PR department, Sarah?
Believe it or not, I'm one of the people that's doing some of the communications as well. So happy to help with that. You know, maybe a starting point for that is one thing we are looking at is actually adding some more content on our website for environment type related issues. So it might even be an interesting place where this group can talk about some of these ideas, like even the benefits of different types of lawnmowers and what the impact is, tree planting and the benefit of native trees, how to tree plant. We're going to try to get some more content on the website, but so we can do some things along those lines. But the other thing that we can do as well is do some social media pushing. So if we are sort of doing certain projects, once we sort of get some strategies and some actions underway, we can certainly be sharing that with the community through some of our channels as to what we're doing and invite them to learn more about it. So I would say we can definitely do those things. We might just want to get a few of these pieces kind of moving and underway and then determine how we want to share that information out into the community as to what we're doing.
Okay. Do we have anybody that likes doing that kind of stuff on the committee? No?
I do run the social media accounts for my department at work, so I'm happy to help or participate in any way once we kind of know what we want to be doing with that. Yeah, I'm happy to help with that.
I think you start off with small steps, and I mean, we could tell them that there is a committee. I'm sure lots of people don't know there's a committee. We can tell them what our role is. We've got very little time left before the expiry of this council's term and our term. So I don't think it's too early to start that. So
question for Sarah. I was going to say question for Sarah, maybe. Are we allowed to have social media accounts for committees or how does that all work? I just wouldn't want to be overstepping any boundaries.
You know, I mean, you potentially could, but, you know, sometimes building an audience takes a long time. So my suggestion is one of the things we could look at is developing a little bit of a slogan or an item, or even just using hashtags to tag us in. So rather than generating a whole new audience from it, we could tag into it, but also have it link back to Grimsby Green. And I know there was a conversation a little while ago about that, about developing whether it was like a logo, and I think we kind of landed like even a slogan maybe for the committee. And perhaps if you attach that to all the different pieces we're involved with, we could still achieve that using even some existing channels that we have access to. Would be one thought I would have. So if there is an interest in the slogan, we could maybe bring that back up. There is actually a person in the community who does some graphics work who has reached out to me and expressed interest in supporting this committee by developing a little graphic for us. So if there's interest in that, we could also add that to our discussion. If we came up with a bit of a slogan and could get a little bit of a graphic associated to it, maybe if we tag that in and again, just using some of our existing networks so we're not rebuilding audiences, perhaps that works. Unless, Erin, you feel differently about it.
That all sounds good to me.
Okay, it's been suggested to me that we place that matter on the next agenda as a separate item, and that Erin, maybe you could spend a little time thinking about it and pondering what we could do. The person that has offered, I forget her name, but yeah, okay.
Yeah, she was a citizen who I think has interest in this committee. I don't know if she wants to be shared, but I can find out where she sits with that.
Yeah, I think I'll have to ask my wife, but I can't remember her name right now. But anyways, that would be very good if she could help as well. So can we put that on the next agenda? Okay, let's move along to the final matter, which is the summer meeting dates. I guess we would ordinarily have a meeting the last Wednesday in July and the last Wednesday in August. So Sarah has asked about one meeting, perhaps in the middle, beginning of August, or do we continue with two meetings? What are your thoughts?
I will, if it's okay, Chair. I did send out, or Maria, I believe, sent an email out to you just with those dates. So there are, if we kept our regular dates in July and August, I believe it would be July the 28th and August the 25th. Sometimes in the past, summertime has been a little trickier to achieve quorum, quite honestly. So sometimes in the past, the groups have gone down to one meetings or maybe even not meeting over the summer. Of course, it's a bit of a unique situation right now because we haven't been meeting. So I understand that we probably don't want to lose that momentum. I imagine that would be a shared thought. But just wondering if people know in advance if certain dates don't work for them, just so we don't end up at the last minute having to change because of quorum. So Chair, feel free to guide that discussion differently. But from our perspective, it's just if you know you're not available for certain ones, the earlier we know and can make adjustments so that we can make sure we can have a meaningful meeting with quorum, the better.
Councillor Sharp? I think you had your hand up. No? Anybody else have any preferences? Chantel?
I'm fine with the August date. I will not be here for July 28th meeting. I won't be able to attend that one, but the August one I'm fine with.
I'm in the same position as Chantel. I'm not available for the July date, but I am available for the August date.
Me too. I'm here in August, not in July.
I'm available for both.
I am as well.
I am right now. But I sure would like to have the participation of the three ladies who said they wouldn't be there.
So we have three ladies that said they wouldn't be there. We have 10 members, I think. So our quorum is 6. We still have a quorum. I'm available both.
You're on mute again, Chair.
I was saying I'm available for both. I wish I didn't have to come to City Hall because I can take a Zoom meeting at the cottage as well as I can at City Hall, but I am available for both. So it's somewhat marginal in terms of having a meeting at the end of July. We would only
Could
have
we, sorry to interrupt. Could we move that meeting forwards to the 21st of July?
That's a good idea.
What I would suggest, if that's the case, if it's okay with everybody, because we do have to just make sure we have the resources to host the meeting. So we do have to have a clerk and IT support. So if that particular day in July is a bit tricky, maybe we can come up with a few options, do a little bit of a poll to the group and see if like the week before is better. I just would hesitate to set a date until I'm sure I have the resources we need for the meeting. Is that okay? Like we could suggest the week before, but I would just need to go and make sure that there is a date that we can do.
Yeah, can we ask staff to look into that? Can we also just quickly ask the committee if they're available on the 21st? Because I don't want to send you guys looking for another date, canceling your vacations if we're not available either.
So if you're available on the 21st of July, raise your hand, please. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Ryan, 7. Aaron, you're not raising your hand.
Yeah,
No,
just checking the schedule there.
I apologize.
I know.
I'm away for the whole month of July. I'm sorry,
Oh, okay.
guys. So if you push it to the beginning of August, I can be there, but unfortunately, I'm away for the whole month. It was pre-planned before I was put on the committee.
Well, why don't we leave it for Sarah to find out if July the 21st works in terms of meeting rooms and people, and then to check also the first Wednesday in August, whether that works or not.
I'm
And
not
then you-
available on Wednesday in August.
What
With-
day is it?
If I maybe create all three and see what the majority has and stick with
Yeah.
the majority. I just know we always get into this, so I thought I raised it early. But I can throw out a bunch of date options and maybe we go with the majority. Would that work, Chair?
Yeah, can I suggest that we all reply to the email with our availability or unavailability, and then Sarah can reply to us from that, and we can take it from there.
Sounds good.
Sounds good, Dave. I agree with that.
Sounds good. Okay.
So I'll try to do that right away. So then everybody can save that date once we make that date determination too.
But the last meeting, or the meeting in August is confirmed then. Okay. And so that's our agenda for tonight.
Chair Carl, I just wanted to confirm with you the date for August is August 25th. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. And that's a firm date then.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll wait to hear from Sarah. And I want to thank you for attending the meeting this evening. I'm sorry for the hiccups and the disorganization, but we'll get it together and we'll start gelling as a group at our next meeting. Thank you.
Carl, you did
Good
a
night.
great job. I can't wait to meet up in person one day with everybody.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, me too.
Bye-bye.
Take care, everybody.
Good night.